Illyria, exploring ancient Albania. Albania is located at the crossroads of the Eastern Adriatic and was known as Illyria and Epirus throughout the classical era. It played a strategic role in ancient times and was a point of contact between Illyrian, Greek, and Roman civilizations. Even though Albania is off the mainstream tourist trail, the country is now emerging as one of the most enchanting corners of Europe. More tourists visit Albania every year, drawn to its spectacular and unspoiled natural wonders, its rich history, and extraordinary archaeological heritage. Dubbed the Pearl of the Balkans, Albania offers a captivating journey through time, with 3,000 years of untouched archaeological heritage. Archaeological sites such as Apollonia, Antigoniya, and Bilis hide a wealth of historic value, while the Butrint National Park, famed for its ruins and beauty, was recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1992 CE. If you happen to travel to the lands of southern Illyria and northern Epirus, read on for some unmissable destinations. Durrës, situated on the eastern coast of the Adriatic. Durrës was the first Greek settlement established in Illyria. The area was settled at the end of the 7th century BCE by people from Corinth and Corcyra, modern-day Corfu. The ancient polis, city-state, known at the time as Epidamnos, flourished during the 4th and 2nd centuries BCE and became a very important port. Due to its strategic location as a harbor, the city played a part in the origins of the Peloponnesian War in the 430s BCE. It also became the theater of military operations during the civil war that was fought between Julius Caesar, 100 to 44 BCE, and the army led by Pompey, 106 to 48 BCE, in the 1st century BCE. Epidamnos came under Roman protection in 229 BCE, and its name was Latinized to Dyrrhachium. The Via Egnatia, the roadway built in the second half of the 2nd century BCE that connected Rome with the eastern provinces of Illyricum, Macedonia, and Thrace, started in Dyrrhachium. The Roman orator Cicero, 106 to 43 BCE, who stayed there in 58 BCE, referred to Dyrrhachium as an admirable city, admirabilis urbs, because of its temples, statues, and other monuments. The poet Catullus, 84 to 54 BCE, called it the Tavern of the Adriatic, Dyrrhachium Hadriae Tabernum. Dyrrhachium received the status of a colony under Roman Emperor Augustus, R27 BCE, 14 CE, and thrived on commerce. The city continued to flourish under the Byzantine Empire, 330 to 1453 CE, but in the Middle Ages, Dyrrhachium suffered many attacks. The remains of the ancient city include the Roman amphitheater, the Byzantine Forum, and various fortifications. The amphitheater of Durrës, built in the 2nd century CE and discovered only in 1966 CE, is among the largest monuments of antiquity to have survived on Albanian territory and is believed to have held 15,000 to 20,000 people. Used for performances until the end of the 5th century CE, the monument was later the site of a Christian chapel that contains the only wall mosaics that survive in Albania. The city's archaeological museum displays a large number of valuable archaeological findings and is also well worth a visit. Did you know? A 100 m long portion of the Via Egnatia can be seen near the provincial town of Pekin, between Durrës and Elbasan. The pavement is about 6 meters 20 feet wide with an Ottoman surface, a later repair of the earlier Byzantine and Roman pavements. A single arched Roman bridge that supported the Via Egnatia can also be seen. Apollonia, lying 60 km, 37 miles to the south of Durrës in the Fier County, is another Corcyrian colony, Apollonia. Taking its name from the god Apollo, Apollonia was the second Greek settlement founded on the Illyrian mainland after Epidamnos. Greek settlers coexisted here over the centuries with the Taulantii, the Illyrian tribe who inhabited the area. Apollonia stood on a hilly plateau overlooking the Aos River just a few kilometers from the sea. This strategic position, commanding a view of the surrounding fertile plain, enabled communication with the coastal part of the territory. The city grew rich from the slave trade and local agriculture. It became one of the most important economic, political, and cultural centers of the region. Like its rival Dyrrhachium, Apollonia was also one of the starting points of the famous Via Egnatia. Cicero described Apollonia as a great and important city, magna urbs et gravis, and it was while studying rhetoric in the city that Octavian, 63 BCE, 14 CE, heard of the death of his adoptive father Julius Caesar. Archaeological excavations have shown that the city reached its zenith around the 4th and 3rd centuries BCE, with about 60,000 inhabitants living inside the city gates. At the beginning of the 3rd century CE, Apollonia was largely destroyed by a powerful earthquake, and the city was slowly abandoned. By late antiquity, the city had largely been depopulated, hosting only a small Christian community. Although only about 10% of the city has been excavated to date, the remains of Apollonia are considerable, covering an area of 2 kilometers, 0.8 mi. Visitors can roam around a variety of impressive monuments, including a bouleuterion which served as an assembly place of the council of the city, an odeon which would have hosted cultural and musical events, a Greek theater built in the 3rd century BCE that could accommodate an audience of 10,000, a large stoa, a public covered walkway built in the 4th century BCE, as well as a rectangular nymphaeum, a monument dedicated to the nymphs, built in the middle of the 3rd century BCE, which is the biggest and best preserved monument of Apollonia. The Museum of Apollonia is located inside an Eastern Orthodox monastery and displays artifacts found at the site. It is full of well-presented information about the history of the ancient city and its excavations. Bylis. Farther south of Apollonia lie the ruins of the Illyrian settlement of Bylis, one of the most important archaeological sites in Albania. Founded by the Biliones, a Hellenized Illyrian tribe, in the middle of the 4th century BCE, Bylis was the largest city in southern Illyria. It occupied a dominant position on the summit of a hill, over the road from Apollonia to Epirus and into Macedonia. The Biliones had a sophisticated system of government, minted their own bronze coinage, and controlled an area of about 20 km, 7.7 miles. They made Bylis their capital and fortified it with a circuit wall around 2 kilometers long. Bylis adopted a fully Hellenized regular street plan which included a theater, stoas, stadium, gymnasium, and temples. The Biliones flourished until 229 BCE, when the Romans landed in Apollonia and their territory became a field of battle between the Roman army and the Macedonians for the control of Apollonia. In 49 to 48 BCE, during Caesar's civil war, Bylis surrendered to Julius Caesar and became a supply base for his army. The city was later turned into a Roman colony, shown by several Latin inscriptions referring to it as Colonia Julia Augusta. The city walls were rebuilt, the theater and stoas were reconstructed, and other monuments were erected. Bylis was attacked and sacked by the Visigoths towards the end of the 4th century CE, but the city was reconstructed under Theodosius II, 408 to 450 CE. It suffered a further attack and was again reconstructed under Emperor Justinian I, 527 to 565 CE. During Justinian's reign, Bylis became an important religious center and the seat of a bishopric. Several large Paleo-Christian basilicas, churches, were built, all of them featuring lavishly decorated mosaics. Sadly for visitors, all the mosaics are covered by protective layers of sand and are not visible. In 586 CE, Bylis was abandoned, and the seat of the bishopric was moved to Balch, preserving the name of the old city. With its fascinating ruins amid stunning views over the Vjosa Valley, Aous in Greek, the ancient city of Bylis is one of the numerous hidden treasures of Albania. The remains include an impressive theater, several Byzantine basilicas paved with outstanding mosaics, Illyrian private houses, and Roman public buildings. Amantia. Crossing the Oos River from Bylis leads you to the ruins of the ancient city of Amantia, which is located 32 kilometers, 20 miles, northeast of the town of Vlore, Albania's first capital, and the administrative center of the Vlore County. Founded around the middle of the 5th century BCE, Amantia was the historical capital of the ancient Greek tribe of the Amantes. It occupied an important defensive position above the Oos River Valley, along the road leading to the coast and to the Bay of Aulon, today's Bay of Vlore. Amantia was built on the slope of a high hill covering an area of 13 hectares, 32 acres. The city was protected by a 2,100 mm long, 6,900 feet walled enclosure equipped with 3 monumental gates. The settlement extended along the sides of the steep hill. The best preserved monument of Amantia is the stadium, which was constructed on a natural terrace in the first half of the 3rd century BCE and could accommodate about 4,000 people. On the southern side of the city, outside the walls, stood a religious complex with a platform for a colonnaded Doric-style temple dedicated to Aphrodite. A series of monumental tombs are also in the vicinity. Amantia remained a small urban center and was the seat of a bishopric in early Christian times. The temple of Aphrodite was demolished and a Christian basilica was built near the ruins using its materials. It is thought that the city may have been abandoned by the end of the 6th century CE. Antigoniya. The ruins of the ancient city of Antigoniya stand on top of a hill overlooking the beautiful Drinos Valley that connected Illyria to the north and the kingdom of Epirus to the south. In 295 BCE, the king of the Molossians, one of the 3 main tribes of Epirus, founded a city and named it after his wife Antigone, daughter of Berenice Versa 340–268 BCE, and stepdaughter of Ptolemy I 366–282 BCE of Egypt. The Molossian king was the famed Pyrrhus, whose battles against the Roman Republic would come to be known as Pyrrhic victories, a victory gained at too great a cost. With such a strategic position, Antigoniya became an important economic, political, and administrative center for more than 100 years, until its destruction in 167 BCE at the end of the Third Macedonian War, which devastated Epirus. The thick layer of burning found throughout the excavated areas shows that the city was destroyed violently. Under the Roman consul Aemilius Paulus, 229–160 BCE, 70 cities in Epirus were sacked and set on fire. This probably included the city of Antigoniya, which was never rebuilt. The significance of the site was largely unknown until the ancient town was excavated and identified by the Albanian archaeologist Demosthenes Boudina, 1930–2004 CE, and the discovery of bronze tesserae bearing the inscription Antigonian of the citizen of Antigoniya in 1968 CE. The city was built on the Hippodamian grid system and covered an area of almost 45 hectares, 111 acres. It flourished through trade with the other Hellenistic cities and with Illyria and Macedonia. The remaining structures of this short-lived city include the city's fortification walls, the agora, prytaneum, residential houses with peristyle courtyards, workshops, as well as a Paleo-Christian church with mosaic floors, sadly kept covered. Since 2005 CE, Antigoniya has been organized as a national archaeological park with information panels placed around the park to inform visitors of the various monuments. Excavations are still underway, and most of the finds are displayed in the National Historical Museum and National Archaeological Museum in Tirana. Butrint, as Albania's first designated UNESCO World Heritage Site, Butrint, ancient Buthrotum, is the most famous and most visited archaeological site in the country. Located opposite the Greek island of Corfu, Butrint offers a combination of historic ruins and natural beauty. Its well-preserved ruins are nestled in a marshy landscape of exceptional beauty and tranquility between an inland lagoon and the Ionian Sea, and surrounded by densely forested hills. The remains of the ancient city span 2,500 years from the Greek, Hellenistic, Roman, and Christian periods to even the Venetian period. The earliest archaeological evidence of settled occupation dates to between the 10th and 8th centuries BCE, although the legend associated with its origin speak of the city's foundation by Trojan exiles. In the Aeneid, the Roman poet Virgil, 70–19 BCE, describes Butrint as having been founded by the Trojan prince Helenus, a son of King Priam of Troy, and like a Troy in miniature, Parva Troia, to the hero Aeneas who stayed there after his own escape from the destruction of the city in the Trojan War. Buthrotum appears in written sources during the 6th century BCE when the city was a small acropolis under Corcyraean control. The city grew in importance and developed its trade thanks to its access to the Straits of Corfu. The situation changed radically at the turn of the 4th century BCE when the Molossians invaded the coast of northern Epirus. The city was fortified with a new 870 meters long, 2,800 feet wall and numerous gates. By the late to mid-3rd century BCE, the settlement included a theater that could accommodate about 2,500 people, an agora, and a sanctuary dedicated to the god of healing, Asclepius. Due to its favorable location, Buthrotum played an important role in Caesar's civil war in 49 to 48 BCE and served as a base for Caesar's army. In 31 BCE, Augustus, fresh from his victory at the Battle of Actium, established a Roman colony, and the city expanded considerably and remained an important road station on the way to Nicopolis, the capital city of the Roman province of Epirus Vetus. The Roman Forum was constructed in the Augustan period, while the city witnessed its greatest period of prosperity in the 2nd century CE. Numerous Roman baths, fountains, and public buildings were constructed, and the theater was renovated. The town suffered much damage from an earthquake sometime in the 4th century CE, but survived into late antiquity, becoming the seat of a bishopric with Christian buildings including a large basilica and a baptistery, one of the largest such Paleo-Christian buildings of its type. The city then went into a long decline and was abandoned until 1928 CE, when the Italian authorities sent an expedition to Buthrotum. The archaeological site is at the heart of the Butrint National Park, which was established in 2000 CE to preserve the natural ecosystems and woodland. A network of walking trails passes through this rich Mediterranean habitat and leads visitors to the many historical buildings. The finds from the site are on display in the small museum located on top of the hill where the Acropolis of Buthrotum once stood. Many of the country's archaeological treasures are housed in the largest museum in Albania, the National Historical Museum in Tirana. Other archaeological finds can be seen in the National Archaeological Museum, also located in Tirana. Thanks for watching.